From the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Welcome back. It's just about 6:30. Good morning. I'm Melissa Caen. Devin Feely's on vacation. Rancho San Antonio, between Cupertino and Mountain View, has 24 miles of trails and draws about 700,000 visitors each year. But a hiker recently shot video of 3 mountain lions wandering on a trail there, so that park is temporarily closed to humans. The Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District says that such a closure is rare, but it's necessary because these mountain lions seem to be getting too close to the visitors. The plan is to lure the lions into areas of the preserve not normally visited by humans.
Fish and Wildlife has placed some deer carcasses in the preserve to try and draw the family to specific locations. It makes us uncomfortable that they are feeling that they're getting that habituated to being around people. So we want to nip this in the bud.
Rancho San Antonio will remain closed until it's determined that it's safe for the public to visit. And people who live along the SMART train corridor in Marin could be losing sleep for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Crews are testing out new crossings and train control systems between San Rafael and Larkspur. And this is happening between the hours of 9:30 p.m. and 3:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, and again on weekends from 9:30 p.m. to 8 a.m. These overnight tests will then be followed by test runs with actual trains. Once it opens, the new segment will link up with the Larkspur Ferry.
It's very significant, and we're very excited to make the connection to the ferry. It gets us that regional connection to San Francisco. We think it's going to be huge for ridership and huge for the whole system.
The SMART train currently runs between Santa Rosa and San Rafael, and passenger service to Larkspur could begin as soon as December. In the meantime, transportation officials are planning to close Highway 4 in both directions at the 680 interchange for the next few nights. That's from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. The Contra Costa County Transportation Authority says the roadwork is for a public safety improvement project. Extra security measures will be in place this weekend at Silicon Valley Pride. The festival begins today in downtown San Jose, and there are a number of extra safeguards. All attendees will be wanded with metal detectors. All bags will be inspected, and bags larger than a backpack are banned. Of course, weapons and sharp objects are also not allowed at the festival. Meanwhile, the San Jose Police Department has marked a milestone. It's become the first major police department to raise the rainbow flag over its headquarters to celebrate Pride Week. And graffiti described as racist in nature has turned up again at Diablo Valley College in Pleasant Hill. The Contra Costa College's district police department is trying to determine who is behind this vandalism, which was discovered in a restroom. Janitors have already removed the graffiti, which police do not consider a direct threat to the campus. Students we spoke with said that DVC is overall a welcoming place.
It's disappointing when people come in and they try to taint what people have already started here to create diversity and create inclusion.
Fall classes at Diablo Valley are set to begin on Monday, and there were similar incidents on campus this past spring. A suspect was arrested then, but prosecutors decided not to pursue charges because the suspect showed remorse. He apologized and had no criminal history. We have some new video of hundreds of pro-democracy protesters gathered in Hong Kong. They've gathered again today, and they've built barricades across the highway. Well, this is the latest protest in a nearly 11-week-old movement that began with calls to scrap a now-suspended extradition bill. The protests have since widened to include demands for full democracy and an independent inquiry into alleged police brutality at the protests. President Trump is in France right now after an overnight flight from Washington, D.C. He's joining some world leaders for a Group of 7 summit. Formal talks are expected to begin tomorrow morning, with topics expected to include the global economy and the Amazon rainforest wildfires. Meanwhile, President Trump has escalated his trade war with China, announcing plans to raise tariffs on more than $500 billion worth of Chinese imports. As CBS News' Natalie Brand reports, the growing trade battle increased jitters on Wall Street.
President Trump launched his latest salvo in the trade war with China just hours before leaving for the G7 summit in France.
Our economy is doing great. We're having a little spat with China, and we'll win it.
Late Friday, the president tweeted that tariffs on $300 billion worth of Chinese goods would increase from 10 to 15% September 1st. and current tariffs on $250 billion in Chinese products would rise from 25% to 30% on October 1st. This latest tit-for-tat started Friday morning when China said it would place new tariffs on $75 billion worth of U.S. products in response to a previously planned U.S. tariff hike. China said it would also move forward with previously postponed import duties on U.S.-made autos and auto parts.
That's one of the areas where the Chinese are punching the hardest.
Earlier in the day, the president called for corporations to cut ties with Beijing, tweeting, "Our great American companies are hereby ordered to immediately start looking for an alternative to China." In response to the president's latest tariff hikes, the National Retail Federation said in a statement it's impossible for business to plan for the future in this type of environment. The standoff between the world's two largest economies rattled investors, and stocks plummeted Friday.
It just makes it more likely that a recession will come sooner rather than later if we have all these pressures from the trade conflict spilling out.
Concerns of a global slowdown are likely to dominate discussion among leaders at the G7 summit this weekend. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And today is the final day of the Democratic National Committee's summer meeting in San Francisco. Just about all the 2020 Democratic candidates have appeared, and this week they've been mapping out their strategy to beat President Trump.
We've got this guy who came in on a slogan about "Make America Great Again," which of course for all of us said, well, again, exactly for whom?
Tom Steyer, the San Francisco billionaire, said the Democrats must take on the president on the issue of the economy. And Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren said that when the government only works for certain people, that amounts to corruption. And frontrunner Joe Biden did not attend. He sent a video message instead, and events continue later this morning. Now, two Bay Area counties are celebrating victory in a lawsuit challenging President Trump's threats to withhold federal funding over their status as sanctuary cities for undocumented immigrants. Now, the president issued his executive order shortly after his inauguration. Santa Clara and San Francisco counties then sued and won a preliminary injunction a few months later. Yesterday, the court issued a final ruling creating a permanent protection for sanctuary cities and counties. Santa Clara County Supervisor Joe Simidian said in a statement, quote, "Our taxpayers send their tax dollars to Washington and reasonably expect those federal funds will help deliver essential public health and safety services, rather than being used as a bargaining chip on federal immigration policy." Right now, tensions are increasing over wildfires burning throughout the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has issued a decree deploying the military to assist in firefighting efforts. Brazilian state experts report that nearly 77,000 wildfires across that country have burned so far this year. That's up 85% over the same period in 2018. A little more than half of those fires have occurred in the Amazon region. Meanwhile, French President Macron is among the critics questioning Bolsonaro's commitment to controlling those fires. Now, closer to home, crews continue to make progress in their battle against a wildfire in upstate California. The so-called mountain fire has destroyed at least 7 homes and burned 6 acres in Shasta County, northeast of Redding. CAL FIRE says the blaze is now 50% contained. And this is why it is so important to evacuate a fire zone as soon as you are told. CAL FIRE staged this demonstration, dropping fire retardant on an old SUV. And as you can see, it did not go well. That was just 9,000 pounds of retardant, and big super tankers can carry about 80 tons. And San Francisco has officially pulled the plug on cashless stores. As of yesterday, it is now illegal for stores to ban cash payments. So if you want to pay cash at a store like Amazon Go, just tell an employee at the door. Of course, this rule only applies to brick and mortar stores. It does not apply to vendors like food trucks. And a plan that calls for all California students to take an ethnic studies course is now on hold. The new law was supposed to kick in this school year, but the various groups involved have not been able to agree on what should be included in those courses. The law's author, Democratic Assemblyman Jose Medina of Riverside, says that more time is needed to get everyone to agree on the details. In Sacramento, officials are looking into what caused 2 trains to crash, injuring 27 people. A test train collided with a 2-car light rail vehicle on Thursday night. The Sacramento Fire Department said that 13 victims were brought to area hospitals, and 2 of them have moderate injuries. The others were treated at the scene and released.
Boom, that fast, just flipped over the top of my bike, hit the ground. The guy in front of me, he hit the bench in front of him so hard and so bad that he tore the whole his leg open all the way across.
The accident happened just near Marconi Avenue and Roseville Road. All trains have since been cleared. Authorities are looking for 4 people involved in an organized theft ring that victimized people throughout the Bay Area. The thefts were from retail stores and individual people, and the total was about $70,000. This was all discovered after a 2-month surveillance operation that started with a tip. Investigators say that stolen property, including laptops, purses, and cameras, were taken from such retailers as Target in Redwood City and CVS drugstore in San Carlos.
Things have really changed in the world. We got some weird people.
2 people were arrested in Pacifica and 4 other people were identified during a search. Now, anyone with information is urged to contact the San Mateo County Sheriff's Department. San Francisco has reopened the permitting process for companies that want to rent out electric scooters. 11 companies have applied. Right now, the companies Skip and Scoot are the only scooter companies allowed to operate around town as part of a pilot program. But as soon as this fall, scooter enthusiasts could have a much larger fleet to choose from.
Thousands of more scooters sounds like it could be a little problematic. I know that it's pretty crowded as it is. People on bikes and stuff already, bike lanes. But if people are just smart about using them, I think it shouldn't be too big of a problem.
Last spring, scooters were pulled from San Francisco after some locals called them public nuisances, and that led to the more controlled year-long pilot program. San Jose, Oakland, and other cities have also grappled with how to deal with the upstart scooter rental industry.
Look at the warm-up for Monday and Tuesday. We'll be back up into the mid-90s, and we'll probably increase the humidity again a little going into the early and middle part of this week, thanks to the leftovers from a tropical storm getting pulled up our way. And the only reason I bring that up is because you probably remember how weird it felt around here Wednesday and Thursday when we saw the increased levels of humidity. Shouldn't be that bad, but there's a little more coming back. All right, a couple of other events for the weekend. Festival of the Arts happening in Palo Alto. We'll be in the mid-80s for that today. And Summer Days happening in Foster City, just like you would think it is. There's going to be a bunch of bands playing, food trucks, vendors, the whole thing going on in Foster City today. It'll be 81, and we mentioned all the things going on down in San Jose as well for that Silicon Valley Pride. Don't forget, Oakland's doing a big Chinatown event as well today, too, if you're in that part of the Bay. So we've got pretty much most of us covered there.
All right, I think that is it for us this morning. Thanks for watching KPIX 5 News.